thing that I love about the two of you is like you get like such a nice musical chemistry together and nice complementarity. You know, like your guitar, voice, maybe some bulk of the songwriting, I guess, like and stuff. And you had like the ultimate like over the weapon, I guess. Like I guess I picture it that way from the outside. I guess when like the bulk of the song is done, you go there like let me do my thing, let me do like slide, rap steel, vocal harmonies and stuff like that. You know, and it probably take the songs from here to here.
Exactly.
And but yeah, it seems like to be natural and from the outside, but I'm sure it's not that easy to find that kind of complementarity and chemistry. You know.
Well, it's the work of many, many years.
Yeah.
We've been playing together since we were babies, and we do have a lot of unspoken communication that happens, but it's really fun. We can catch a wave together. I can kind of feel where she's wanting to go musically, and vice versa. But it has been the work of at this point, 3 decades.
Yeah, it's true. And I do think that we explored new territory with this album together creatively as a team. Historically, I do think that we have created a bit more separately, where I would bring a song, she would bring a song, we would engineer the collaboration, whereas with Blood Harmony, from the ground up, we were working on songs together. We were more involved as a team from the beginning, which I think added a lot of strength to the material for this album and to the authenticity of the project. I think that of any of the albums that we have made up to this point, Blood Harmony, I think is our best album. And I do believe it's because we really closely creatively collaborated more so than any album before.
And I think we owe that to really being home for a year during the pandemic, because we were working.
You wrote it in the lockdown, yeah.
Well, we actually worked together, the two of us, all of that year, doing live streams, making cover videos together, just doing a lot of work, just the two of us. And so we became even more comfortable with working together.
It's true.
Okay. And so before I go deep into Blood Harmony, I would like to go back to Self-Made Man for one question. This record ended up being eventually a COVID record, because it was released right through the lockdown, pandemic, all that, you know. And you took advantage of the pandemic by releasing a cover album, a live album, you know, and all that. So it's 4 releases in the span of 2 years and a half, you know, something like that. So it's pretty productive. But do you think in a way Self-Made Man impact has been a bit diluted in a way because of all of that, the fact that you two are behind it when it reopened now, in a way, you know, because it's it's still a Self-Made tour and maybe pre-tour for Blood Harmony as well, you know.
Yeah. I think it was a little heartbreaking to release Self-Made Man and not be able to tour behind it, not to be able to really give this album the celebration that it deserved, because we are very proud of this album. I think some of my favorite songs we've ever written are on this album. But it did come out in a very weird time in the world. And we were presented with the opportunity, we and our team discussed the idea of holding the release, of waiting, but that's not our style. We're very much go people when it comes to our career. So we didn't have an interest in waiting.
And it could have been long.
It would have been a very long time. So I think,
It came out just after the first lockdown, right?
Yes.
So it could have reopened after that. I guess that was the plan initially.
Yeah.
You were maybe showing for the fall to be reopened and all that, but yeah.
But even then, kept delaying. But even so, I do think we're incredibly fortunate to have a very small contingent of super supportive fans. And we love that. We love being able to release music and to know that the people who really care about it are hearing it. Yeah. And that gives us all of the reward that we need in knowing that these songs could have been there for some of our fans when they were having a tough time, when they were isolated in lockdown.
Okay. And Blood Harmony, the first thing which jumped to my ears is to me there's definitely a more of a band live feel to the record, because there are more real drums to it, whereas before there was more clap, more programmed drums for some songs and stuff like that. That makes a difference, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an obvious difference, but yeah, I guess we went for a different approach in the recording and all that. So can you tell me about the differences between these as opposed to Venom and Faith or Self-Made Man? You know.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. That was something we talked long and hard about before making this album. Because when we started our record label in 2017, that's when we also started self-producing our albums. And we really wanted to take all of the creative control. So that means we ended up playing all of the instruments on the album. Rebecca programmed the drums. And we were able to really create what was in our head. This time around, you know, for this record, and it worked out really well, you know, so we actually continued that process for several records. This time around, though, we really wanted to capture the energy of how we sound on stage. Because we are a stripped-back four-piece rock and roll band, you know, we're pretty loud and energetic in our live shows. So we wanted to see if we could bring that energy into the studio, which meant live drums. And so that's why we ended up bringing Rebecca's husband, Tyler Brownie, in, really to help with the drums part of the album. Like, how we wanted this very, you know, specific sound on the drums. We wanted to sound super beautiful, and he has really worked on engineering during the pandemic, and has an incredible drum kit and mics to go on it, so he was able to kind of come in and help us figure out how we wanted to approach the drums.
Was it like the Shakedown drummer or like your drummer who recorded the parts?
Both of them, actually.
Both, yeah. Yeah. Because I think it is fair to say when people listen to our albums over the years, there is a big difference between how we sound on stage and how we have previously sounded in the studio. So to be able to bridge that divide with this album was very important to us. But it did require us stepping outside our comfort zone to make this change, to do it in a new way. And I think ultimately, again, it sort of led to, I think, a more authentic album that is more representative of who we are as a band. But sonically, I do think it surpasses our previous records, and I can say that because I programmed the drums. It's a beautiful album.
Yeah, and you don't have to program that, but it was okay before as well. But yeah, it makes a difference to have the live drums and that. Definitely,
Yeah.
First listen, I was like, that sounds more live kind of feel. You know?
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah. Okay. And it's a bit like also, yeah, it's maybe because also there's more live drums than before, so it feels a bit heavier as well with like the song like Deep Stays Down, you know. I mean, melody got like this big wall of sound like in the middle and stuff like that. Stuff like Summertime Sunsets, you know, Bad Spell, stuff like that. So it's a bit also, even more, maybe more guitar oriented as well in a way. Not only like drums, you know. But
Yeah. Over the years, I have been so inspired by my sister because Megan is a true guitar hero. I think the way that you play your lap steel, it's very unique and it's very phenom. Like the skill that you bring to your playing it's super badass. But I have always considered myself a second-rate guitarist where, I use the guitar to write. I'm not really a guitar hero. But I think with the amount of touring that we've done in the last 2 to 3 years, I've developed a much deeper love of the guitar, and I think for me as a songwriter that has changed what I've felt comfortable writing. So we do have some really badass riffs on this record. We do have some more proper rock and roll moments, because I do think that's the direction we've been trending with every show that we performed in the last 2 to 3 years. And it feels great to be able to look forward to imagining these songs on the stage, because they were written for the stage.
Yeah. And I think you played like Summertime Sunset, Bad Spell, and that was Be Me, I think, on last spring, and right through like the Trianon, you know, you could tell like, those new songs are, I mean, Mike Tower Be Me is more metal, obviously, but the other two, it was like more rocking. You could feel it. But and so I was mentioning Summertime Sunset, like and you were mentioning comfort zone, you know, like you most of the time you have like a lower register, I would say, and on that one you try some higher stuff on the vocal, which one's good too, you know.
Thank you.
But it's really rare, like to hear you like with such a higher voice, you know, and
Yeah.
higher range. So yeah, is it like something like which was tricky at first, or?
I love this question. I think over the years, I have, sort of similar to my guitar playing, I have embraced the role of being the lead singer. I don't think that I ever considered myself a lead singer before we started Larkin Poe. And even for the first 5 years of Larkin Poe, I may have resisted being a live singer because it can be hard to figure out your voice as a singer. I think especially for singers nowadays, if you don't come out of the womb with a really iconic voice, you're inundated with influences. You could sing like Bonnie Raitt, you could sing like Dave Matthews, you could sing like Ozzy Osbourne. There's so many records that you can listen to that would influence your style. And it's taken me a lot of time to figure out my unique voice.
Yeah.
And I do emulate a lot of male singers, so I think that there is always a tug to sing lower in my register. I want to have a lower voice. But I think with Summertime Sunset, it's refreshing to try something different. We always want to challenge ourselves and hopefully find new things about who we are.
Which is kind of interesting because when we grew up, we sang 3-part harmony a lot with our eldest sister.
And who sang the high part?
And you were always high.
Okay.
So she actually, for most of our singing career in quotations, yeah, you have been singing in a very high register.
Yeah.
And now it's reversed because I feel like
Yeah,
I have
you
very,
do the
very
high
low voice. Naturally, I was always singing the low harmony part. Now I have to sing the high harmony part. What? Why?
Sorry, it's not very fun.
None of it, yeah, it sounds cool, and your voice is very distinctive, like since the beginning. So.
Oh, it's kind of you to say. Thank you.
Because you say like you have to, but you found your voice really early on, I would say. You know, yeah.
It doesn't feel like
it doesn't feel like it,
Those
maybe,
first
but,
5
yeah.
years of the band, especially the first year or two that we were a band as Larkin Poe. If I listen back to those recordings, it's very sweet and a little bit sad to listen to because it's like, oh, it's a little baby, a baby singing.
I guess so. And yeah, I was wishing like Deep Stays Down, like which is like a great opener. Like I mean, to me, like you know, a song like Sometimes was like an awesome opener for Venom and Faith. You know, like and with like Beach Blonde Ballad Blues behind and stuff like that. So it's hard to surpass that. But I think Deep Stays Down is really like a strong opener, like, you know,
Thank you.
climb up, like you get this big wall of sound in the middle and stuff like that. It's a great song. I guess you could start with that live and stuff like that. I guess.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
we were thinking. And that song was really fun to record because we had to be so patient with it. Because you and Tyler wrote that song, Rebecca, and it was very different from where it ended up. It was at first a very upbeat, like almost like a hoedown. Then we were like, it's not quite right. We tried out a very like slow cinematic version, and just tried a lot of different ways to approach that song. And finally, after much troubleshooting, we ended up with the way that it is now. And I love it.
And the closer is great too. Like I forgot the name, but the closer is really
Yeah,
great.
Lips as Cold as
Yeah,
Diamond. Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's a bit of an unusual moment for Larkin Poe. We sing ballads, but I do think our focus is typically up-tempo, and so to be able to have a really
And
moody,
uplifting, stuff like that.
a very introspective, dark moment was really fun for this album, and I'll be curious to see if we ever perform that song live. We'll have to see how things come together, but it's nice to have a range of emotion.
Yeah, sure. And I've read like Bad Spell is supposed to be like an answer to I Got a Spell on You, you know, lyrically, I guess, and stuff. So can you tell me a story, Mina?
Yes, because I love the recording. For anybody who has not listened to Screamin' Jay Hawkins, I Put a Spell on You, it is an iconic recording. It will make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. He sings very aggressively. It's a magnetic track. And so when I heard I Put a Spell on You, I wanted to write something about Bad Spell. And also because I do think, traditionally speaking, the blues was sung in a time period. Traditional blues, the advent of traditional blues was sung where women could be treated more as objects. And so to be able to write a song in response as a female perspective energetically, to take power back, that was very important to me. And it really turned into a powerful piece of work. It wasn't completely finished when we went into the studio. I had the verses and the chorus written, but the middle section, we were in the studio, Megan, myself, and Tyler Bryant, my husband and co-producer, and there was a real electric energy in the room as we were building out the arrangement for the song. And I don't know what it was, something in the ether came down, and we very quickly wrote the bridge, and it just stitched the whole song together. And it was a very rewarding moment in the studio when something actually happened, and it wasn't hard work, it was really easy. It just sort of happened. So I'm very proud where that song wound up.
Okay. And like always, before you always had songs like which are odes to the South, and stuff like that, like back down South, like Mississippi, stuff like that. You get like Georgia off my mind on this one, and you get like some conference, stuff like that. So, and you play many standards also from, your music is really American roots infused in a way, like, like blues, country, bluegrass, classic rock, all that, and Southern rock, and you play many standards like live as well, like stuff by Robert Johnson or like Son House and stuff like that. So are you girl like taking pride on being kind of ambassadors of South in general of the US and the American roots music for a new generation almost, because in a way you must be teaching like a new generation, I guess. Like there must be people coming at your show who never heard like of Robert Johnson, I guess, stuff like that,
Sure.
So are you like taking pride on to me, you're becoming ambassadors for a new generation in a way of this style.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of music that we play, we owe to the blues men and women that were really creating an entirely new genre of music, and all of rock music has built from that. So we do feel like we want to pay homage to those people and like throw it back and be like, this is where it came from, and kind of coming from a place of really deep respect for those people who pioneered our music.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to note as well that music is one of the most open-minded pursuits of all creative endeavors. Over the years, when we look at artists creating Southern music, you have contingencies of humans who were so forward-thinking with inclusivity, with sharing their pain, with having a broader perspective about humanity. So to be able to act as ambassadors for Southern music, that's important to us not only because we really respect the traditions upon which American music is built, but also because the South has had such a tortured history, to be able to place emphasis and to highlight what it means to be truly Southern. That's very important to us, to be the best version of who we are as humans, to meet humans on the same level, to not judge, to not make judgments about people before you come to know them. That's very important to us, and a very large part of our upbringing as Southerners with the generations who came before us. So it becomes a big celebration in many ways for us in being able to make traditional American music in our own way.
Okay. And you get like the self-titled song like Blood Harmony, like which I guess deals more with like your family heritage and that. And that brings me to what amazed me with your girl as well, because you're from, you get 10 years behind me, I guess, like you probably were born like 10 years after me. And it amazed me like how people from your generation can know all this old school music, American. It's like you've done like your homework,
Yeah.
And so where it came from? Like, was it like in your family forever? Like when you were a kid, like your folks were listening to all that kind of music, or?
Our parents were always.
When you were kids, like the big thing were like in rock, like Limp Bizkit or Linkin Park,
Yeah.
It was like the obvious thing, like to be like knowledgeable about Robert Johnson or Son House,
It's true. I do think we were fortunate to grow up in a household where a lot of classic rock records were being played, and a wide range of genres. Our mother loved classical music and the Carpenters and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and our dad would spin, you know, the Allman Brothers and Led Zeppelin and Van Morrison and a wide range of classic rock records that are obviously built upon the blues. Like when you listen to Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones, these are artists that were directly influenced by the blues artists from the turn of the century. So to be able to have a little bit of curiosity and delve back deeper into who these artists, who were Led Zeppelin, who were the Rolling Stones, who were Black Sabbath listening to, and the answer is traditional blues artists. Exactly, listen to Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and Son House and these artists that have been direct inspirations for us.
I think that was kind of the work of our 20s, was going back and learning a lot of this amazing music and kind of like bringing that forward into ours. And I think that it felt like a homecoming. Like there's a lot of similarities between like mountain music that we grew up playing and blues and traditional blues. So I think it felt very natural to kind of come to that music, even though we came to it in our 20s.
Yeah.
Like we didn't grow up learning how to play Muddy Waters. Like that was later on, but it feels very right to us.
And guess it helps to come like from the states of like the Allman Brothers band states and Black Rose and stuff
Exactly.
like that.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. You grow up with an understanding of the repertoire without necessarily knowing that, you know, come on, little pretty mama, let me light your candle because mama, I'm so hard to handle. Yeah, yes, I am. Like, that's a cover. I think I always assumed that was a Black Crowes song, but it's like, oh, it's Otis Redding, duh. Like, and so then suddenly you have that connection once again to the past and how to continue to breathe life into the past music traditions to let them inspire the next generation.
Because also we were children of the 90s. Like, we love pop music too. So coming from that focus as well, like, we love a pop song structure.
Yeah, you get a modern pop edge as well in your music.
Thank you.
Sure, like, you know, like Holy Ghost Fire, stuff like that, you know, more poppy, you know.
Hell yeah.
Love it all.
And you were mentioning like Tyler Bryant like a couple of times in the interview, like so I know you guys like collaborate a lot. It's no secret you're married together and all that. So, but I'm being petty a bit here. Like, so you get like an interesting dynamic. Like you and Tyler, you're both singer, guitar player, songwriter, right? So is there some kind of friendly competition sometimes, like like check this riff, or does he go like Larkin Poe, check this riff, like you wish like you could have wrote it? Or
Yes.
Yeah.
We're both fairly competitive people. So I do think over the years it has wound up being constructive for the two of us. I think he has inspired growth in me and I've inspired growth in him, which is nice. And it was really fun to work with him in the studio on this album because I do think Tyler is one of the most joyful people I know when it comes to making music. He loves making music. It's very sweet, the energy that he has for music. So to borrow some of that for Blood Harmony was very, very special. But it is a delicate balance of competition because we never want to be jealous of one another. So I do think over the years, similarly to the dynamic that you and I have fostered between one another, the idea of a team win, that if something good is happening for her, then it's also great for me, and vice versa. If she's becoming an incredible guitar hero, it makes me imagine, well, maybe I could be a guitar hero too. You never know. Let's try it. The same exists between Tyler and I, that a team win is very important for us, that when he's doing great things, I celebrate because my partner is happy and thriving, and I think he feels the same way.
Okay, cool. And so, let's talk some gear a little bit. Like, you have a new lap steel, I think. So can you tell me about it? And I would like to go, because I always love slides, lap steel and stuff, but I'm really clueless about it as far playing and stuff. I don't even know what cool amps to go with lap steel, you know? And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Get it, sis.
I know lap steel is not very common, and I don't know why that is, because I think it could be a forefront instrument in a rock band, and you don't see that very much. but I'm hoping to change that in my own small way. Like this lap steel that I've been working on is a standing lap steel, because a lot of lap steels, the name suggests, you play it in your lap, you sit down, and if you're sitting down on stage, that's not as energetic. So I wanted to have a lap steel that was really easy to stand with. So I worked with Beard Guitars. Beard Guitars makes really incredible slide instruments, and I said, I really want to essentially a sound that's like a Rickenbacker, which I really love the sound of a Rickenbacker for a lap steel, but I want it to have the shape that's good for standing, and I want it to be light so that you can stand really easily, because the Rickenbacker is so incredibly heavy, and that's what I've been playing with for years. And my back was starting to complain, like after playing like so many shows in a row. Like, I was having some back issues. So we created this lap steel, and it's called the Electrolige, and it's got a horseshoe magnetic pickup, and it sounds incredible. It's really, really light, and it's got the shape that I use for standing.
Also, just to brag on my sister one more time, I know I've been probably annoying you, but the reason it's not the forefront of rock and roll music is because it's very, very hard. It's a very awkward and challenging instrument, and you have really mastered this instrument because she makes it look easy. But if people can get over the lip of it being really, really challenging and really, really awkward, it is such a cool instrument. And for Larkin Poe, it's become our signature sound. So I really highly recommend people to get an Electrolige and start rocking out to their highest potential.
But I mean, like pedal-wise, really any guitar pedal, any guitar rig is the same. Yeah. So
you played with an octave fuzz before. It sounds cool.
Yeah, I think it's a Fender Deluxe is my choice. But actually, on the album, I played through a Bassman a lot, which is
the Fender Bassman.
Fender Bassman, which is really cool too.
Sounds great.
Actually, I could already the slide for me on the electric guitar is really hard already. I wish I could be Dwayne Allman and stuff like that. But
me too. It takes a lot of work, doesn't it? It's very finicky with the pitch. When you're having to play in pitch, it's hard.
But I tried to do the upright slide, and I think it's really challenging. So I don't know. Maybe try it sideways.
And which kind of amp and guitar have you used for Sons and Harmonies?
Yeah, I played Fender Strats, a couple custom shops, Fender Tele on Kick the Blues, and a handful of tunes I recorded on a Gibson SG. And this Gibson SG is very special to me. It was a gift. It's a 1969 in pristine condition. I could never have afforded it. Someone was very generous and gave it to me. But I never tour with Gibsons. I haven't found the right fit, but it might be something I dig into for our touring rig in 2023. I do play a lot through a Fender Deluxe, but on the album, there's a small boutique amp builder who is now based in Nashville called Tyler Amps. And of course, I had to buy one because I had to buy one for my husband because it said his name on the frickin' amp, which is cool. But come to find out, they sound amazing. It's a father and son duo, and they hand wire everything in their workshop at their home. It's pristine. They sound great. So I have another Tyler amp that I think I might carry on the road. It sounds great.
Okay. And so one last question, you've been jamming and collaborating with all the Joe Bonamassas of the world, like Billy Gibbons, like the Matthews Band, stuff like that stuff. So is there anybody on your bucket list left, you will really want to jam with or
there's so many people.
I guess, but
Who would you pick?
We've shared the bill with Bonnie Raitt, but I've never played with Bonnie Raitt. That would be really cool.
That would be really cool. I think I would like to jam with Cedric Burnside. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him.
No.
He plays in the style of R.L. Burnside. He's, I think, the nephew of R.L. And in terms of traditional blues, finger style, so groovy, so cool that I would love to sit and jam with him and write a song. I think that would be very inspiring.